All right, we're going to crank it up. We'll call this meeting of the Department and Agency Subcommittee to order. And we'd like to welcome everyone in here today. Today is March the 25th of 2025. So members, if you would make sure you're signed in. And we'll now take the roll. Mr. Clark. All right, Mr. Clerk, if you would, please take the roll.
Mr. Chairman, you have 7 members present. You have a quorum.
Thank you. A little bit of housekeeping before we get started here. Well, first I'll back up. Is there any members have any personal orders? Seeing none, we'll move on into the agenda. We would do a little housekeeping here. Item number 1, House Bill 415 is off notice. Next up, we have item number 2, which is HJR 180 by Representative Reeves. And don't see him in the room. So we will move that to the Hill. Item number 3 is also by Representative Reeves. We'll move that one to the Hill as well. Item number 4 is HJR by 146 by Representative Mayberry. All we need is some warm bodies, folks. So we'll roll to the Hill. And item number 5 is Representative Mayberry as well. So we'll roll that one to the Hill. Item number 6 is Representative Mayberry. Roll to the Hill. And we've, pardon? Yes, sir. Yes, sir, Representative Martin.
Could I phone a friend?
You have one call. It's one call. We are on lucky number 7, House Bill 351 by Representative Hurt. We have a motion and we have a second. And Representative Hurt, I believe you have a few amendments filed. Do you have one that you want to go with?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Let me get my glasses here. We're going to go with amendment number 006378.
6378, and this makes the bill. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yes,
Members, we'll go ahead and vote to add the amendment. We need a motion. We got a motion and a second to add amendment 6378 to House Bill 351. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? The amendment goes on the bill, so you're recognized on your bill as amended.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and committee. And committee, if you remember, I actually brought this bill a couple of weeks ago and we moved to full. Between sub and full, I had some concerns brought to me by a party. So in order to rework the bill to make sure we address their concerns, we re-referred it back because we put a new amendment on it. But with that, Mr. Chair, this bill now, as amended, requires that when a prisoner is released for paid employment and wears an electronic monitoring device as required under current law, then the sheriff who houses the prisoner will deduct the costs associated with the monitoring device from the prisoner's wages. It then requires the county or state to pay those costs directly to the provider of the monitoring device. If the prisoner is unpaid, then the entity utilizing the prisoner for work shall pay the cost for the electronic monitoring device. And with that, Mr. Chair, I'll take any questions.
All right, members, we've heard the explanation. Is there any questions for the sponsor? Seeing none, we're ready to vote. Mr. Clerk, okay, you've got the board open. And if everyone, please, if you're in favor, please say vote aye. Any opposed? No. Anyone wishing to change their vote? Mr. Clerk, please take the vote.
Mr. Chairman, you have 7 ayes, 0 noes.
All right. Representative Hurt, you move out to full committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and committee.
Thank you. Item number 8 is by Representative Gillespie. I don't see him in the room. Oh, there he is. I'm sorry. I got on a roll there of not having people in here, so we're gonna move it on. Okay, we have before us item number 8, House Bill 309. We need a motion. We have a motion and a second, and I believe is an amendment. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. I believe the amendment, well, no, unless my binder is not up to date here. There we go. It's 4894. Sorry.
All right. We have a motion and a
It does
second.
make the bill.
It makes the bill. We'll go ahead and add the amendment to House Bill 309. All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. You're on your bill as amended.
Thank you so much, Chairman and committee members. So just to let y'all know, I plan on rolling this bill and saving it for next year, but I would love to have someone that traveled here to explain in a little bit more detail what we're trying to do here. If I could indulge the committee, they are signed up to speak, if that's okay.
All right. Without objection, we'll go out of session and hear from Mr. Eric Gang. Mr. Gang, you have 3 minutes.
Sure. Thank you very much. My name is Eric Yang, and I'm an attorney with expertise in the area of veterans law. I've authored the best-selling book, Betrayal of Valor, an expose of a horribly flawed Veterans Administration. I do travel and speak widely on veterans issues. I've appeared on Fox News as an analyst for veterans issues. My law firm has a partnership with Cornell University Law School's Veterans Law Practicum. We have offices throughout the country, including here in Tennessee and Chattanooga, where I own a home. I think the Tennessee Department of Veterans Services has done an exemplary job in this state. As I travel around the country, I have the occasion to observe what other state agencies are doing. And I have to say, what Tennessee is doing here is truly superlative. With this bill, we want to create new innovations to help close the gaps where some veterans are falling through the cracks. Right now, I think our state should build upon the successes that the agency has already accomplished. We're creating flexible partnerships with the private sector to provide a mechanism to allow veterans to win the really complex cases where free non-attorney advocacy falls short, and to also close the gaps in the current contract they have with an existing outside law firm provider. These safeguards, this bill can create safeguards to establish minimum standards of qualifications, expertise, licensure, provide for accessibility and accountability to help close those gaps to ensure that no veteran in our state falls through the cracks. I do want to thank the sponsors of this bill, and I want to thank the department for being willing to continue this conversation throughout the summer so we can together find ways to ensure that every veteran gets the help they deserve and make Tennessee a national leader in the area of veterans benefits.
Okay. Is there any questions for our guest? Seeing none, Mr. Gang, we appreciate you being here. Thank you for your testimony here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Members, without objection, we'll go back into session. And Representative Gillespie, you're recognized.
Thank you so much. Again, I just did not want to waste y'all's time. This is an extremely important issue that we want to get right. And I look forward to working with all of y'all over the summer as well. And with that, I will, I guess, roll this to the...
Just for, take it off notice. Yeah. Pardon? Yes, Representative Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Sounds like a good bill concept. The study that you're going to do in the summer, will any members of this committee be a part of that study, or how do you plan to do the summer study?
Representative Gillespie.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Representative, I'm not requesting a summer study. No, I'm just asking for the different parties to come together over the summer. I will be a part of it, and I will 100% be working with anyone on this committee that wants to, as much as you want to play a role in it, or as little. Yes, I would love to work with y'all on that. But I'm not going to ask y'all any of it.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
So.
Thank you. I'd say the proper thing would be to just take it off notice for this year.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
All right.
That's what you wish to do. All right.
Yes.
All right. Off notice.
Thank you.
Thank you, Representative.
Thank y'all.
We're going to go ahead and move down to our addendum calendar. Yeah, that would be House Bill 1358 by Chair Lady Littleton. We have a motion.
Second.
We have a second. And Chair Lady, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And it does have an amendment 5343.
It was adopted previously, so it's on the bill as amended.
Okay, well, thank y'all for letting me bring this back today. This bill would, by January of 2026, requires the Department of Children's Services to begin construction on a facility in West Grand Division of Tennessee, a house house children who are being detained while awaiting adjudication allegations of delinquency or unruliness. So that's what the bill does, but there is an amendment to put on in full that we got yesterday. So it will lower the beds and it will lower the fiscal note. So that's why we want to move forward with it.
Okay, members, you've heard the explanation. Any question? Okay, Representative Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Is my understanding, is this a study or we're actually talking about building new facilities?
Chair Lady.
We are actually talking about building one in the Western Division.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? We're ready to vote. Mr. Clerk, if you would, open the voting board. All in favor, please vote yes. Any opposed, no. Anyone wishing to change their vote? Mr. Clerk, please take the roll, or the vote.
Mr. Chairman, you have 8 ayes, 0 noes.
You're moving out to full committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee.
Okay, we're
Good.
moving on down our calendar here. We're going to go to final calendar 2 with I'm sorry.
Could I have a personal moment for a second, please?
Sure.
I have a shadow today. His name is John Smith, and he's here with us trying to learn more about how we work and what the legislators really do. So,
All right, all
yeah,
right.
I'd like for y'all to welcome him, please.
Glad to have you here.
Thank you.
All right. Final calendar 2, Representative Shaw, your
Motion.
we have a motion and we have a second, and sir, you're recognized on your bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members. House Bill 94 was brought to Senator Wally and myself from Hardeman County, and it has to do with them having to pay for the TDOC and core civic autopsies and travel. And they asked us to bring this legislation to see if this could be transferred to the state, these expenses, rather than Hardeman County paying for them. That's the gist of this bill. And with that explanation, I would take any questions you may have.
Members, we heard the explanation. Do we have any questions? Representative Martin.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Shaw, Representative Shaw. Is this just related to Hardeman County?
To my knowledge, it is.
Mr. Chairman, could I ask legal that question?
I think we can pretty much answer that it's statewide application,
Okay.
statewide application.
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. I misunderstood you. It is a statewide application, but to my knowledge, I don't know of any other county other than Hardeman paying for the autopsies. I'm sure there may be, but I don't know who they are.
Are they paying for the autopsy or are they just paying for the transport to the autopsy?
Transport and autopsies in Hardeman County, but I do not know what other counties there may be. I cannot answer that.
Okay. All right. Okay, Chairman Powers.
Thank you, Representative Shaw, and thank you for bringing this back. Sorry about the confusion over the first part of it. And that is something they brought up, but this is a good bill, and I think that the state should be obligated, if it's a state prisoner, for that autopsy. I also think too, and if you wanted to put an amendment on it, I would appreciate that maybe when it went to full, but I think it should pay for the transportation too, because like you said, a lot of the counties do not, they just have, is it included in there? Okay, so I'm sorry, it's already included in that part of it then. I was just saying a lot of the counties just transport them, like you said, and the state should pay for the transportation of that too. If it's a state prisoner, I think we're obligated to that, but legal just told me that it was included in that. So I'm good, but thank you for bringing this forward. I believe you're right on this, and I believe that we are obligated instead of the county having to incur that cost. So thank you.
Right. Any other questions? Seeing none, if the clerk would please open the voting board, please. Mr. Clerk, please take the vote.
Mr. Chairman, you have 8 ayes, 0 noes.
Moving out to full.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee members.
Thank you. We're going to, yes, Representative Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Out of order, I just noticed the president of Memphis let's say NAACP just walked in the room, Mr. Kermit Moore. Could we welcome him here? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you for being here. All right, we're going to move back up our calendar to item number 2, which is an HJR 180 by Representative Reeves. Motion. We have a motion and we have a second, and I see you do have an amendment. Is that correct?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Thank you. 5595.
5595, and this rewrites the bill. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, it does.
All right, members, we'll add that amendment 5595 to HJR 180. All in favor? Pardon? Oh, we've got a motion and a second. We'll add the amendment to the bill. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? You're on your bill as amended.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I've got 2 bills, and this is one of 2 that are kind of the opposite sides of the coin. This is House Joint Resolution 180, which urges the federal government to streamline legal immigration. The United States is always welcomed and is indeed a nation of immigrants, but requires newcomers to contribute by respecting our laws and embracing American values. This urges the federal government to eliminate unnecessary delays around that process, reduce bureaucratic red tape, and lower excessive fees for lawful immigration applicants, and still maintain rigorous security standards. And that matters a lot to Tennessee and a lot of other states. And with that, I'll take any questions.
All right, members, heard the explanation. Any questions? Oh, all right, Chairman Powers.
I just want to thank the sponsor for bringing forth this bill. I think we need to make it harder to get here illegally and easier to get here legally. I know that I had a constituent, it took them 10 years and $10,000 to get here from Colombia, and that should never happen. We need to make those people, and they came here, both got a job, raised a family here, and we need to make legal immigration. We need to streamline it to where people that want to come here and that are qualified to come here should be able to.
Representative Reeves.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, I agree. And there's a lot of examples, too many examples of that. And I think we have to fix this problem. The federal government really has to fix this problem. And that's why I'm bringing this HJR.
All right. Thank you. Any further comment or questions? Seeing none, Mr. Clerk, if you would, open the voting board. All in favor, vote yes. Any opposed, no. And anyone wishing to change their vote? Mr. Clerk, take the vote.
Mr. Chairman, you have 8 ayes, 0 noes.
You move out to full committee.
Thank you, Chair and committee.
Thank you. Where's your script at? All right. Appreciate you hanging with us right there. And Next up on our calendar is House Bill 177, also by Representative Reeves. Do we have a motion?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. And I believe you do have an amendment. Would you tell us that drafting code, please?
Yes, sir. I've got 6262.
6262, and it rewrites the bill.
Yes, sir.
Do we have a motion on the amendment?
Second.
We have a motion, a second on the amendment. All in favor of adding amendment 6262 on to House Bill 177, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. You're on your bill as amended, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this is the other side of that coin. While we want legal immigration to be streamlined, we also want to make sure that immigration is not impacting our state the way that it has. This legislation establishes the state crime of illegal entry in Tennessee for individuals who are unlawfully present in the United States and enter or remain in this state without authorization. This bill is a measured, responsible step towards protecting Tennessee communities, enforcing the rule of law, and demagnetizing our state to illegal immigration. And with that, I'm open for questions.
Right, members, heard the explanation. Are there any questions for our sponsor? Seeing none, Mr. Clerk, if you would, open the voting board. All in favor, vote yes. Any opposed, no. Anyone wishing to change their vote? Mr. Clerk, if you would, please take the vote.
Mr. Chairman, you have 7 ayes, 1 no.
You're also moving out to full on that one, too.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and committee.
Thank you. Brings us back to item number 4, HJR 146 by Representative Mayberry. We have a motion and a second. And let's see. You do have an amendment also with this bill.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. 5294.
5294. Do we have a motion on the amendment? We have a motion and a second on the amendment. We'll go ahead and add the amendment 5294 to HJR 146. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. You're on your HJR as amended.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. HAR 146, this actually is from Representative Ryan Williams. His school board brought it to him. For those who don't know, I'm actually a school board member, so in my community, so I'm in support of this legislation. But Article 11, Section 5 of the Tennessee State Constitution prohibits any lotteries or lottery type events in the state of Tennessee, with 2 exceptions done by the General Assembly or 2/3 which may authorize the state lottery, and that proceeds go towards students attending post-secondary institutions or by a 2/3 vote of the General Assembly. Each year, the General Assembly votes and approves annual events. Nonprofit schools such as organizations must annually apply to conduct simple things like a cakewalk or a raffle or any type of game of chance. This legislation is going to allow local school boards to approve one game of chance. So the idea is let the district's wrestling team fundraiser do a cakewalk to raise money, but they allow local school boards to approve one within its own geographic boundaries. And I renew my motion.
All right, members, heard the explanation. Are there any questions? Okay, Chairman Powers.
Yes, and thank you for bringing this forward. When I was in the 2nd grade, I won a cakewalk. I lined up, they had a clock that they pointed out, and I didn't know, of course, what that was, but I was closest one to it and won a cake. And a bunch of boys stole it from me on my way home when I was walking home, and I'm still traumatized to this day over that. But I don't guess there's any kind of punishment or anything that goes in if you win the lottery and someone takes it away.
All right. Representative Mayberry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In 2nd grade, I like cake, but no, this isn't any punishments. But I know as a parent of my daughter wrestled, does flag football, it can be hard for them to raise money. We're just trying to create a way for them to raise money within their district.
Yeah,
right.
and I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Chairman.
And we thank you for that. I do auctions and stuff and help some of the schools raise money that way too. So thank you for bringing this forward. I know it's needed. Thank you.
Thank you. Is any other comment? Not, Mr. Clerk, if you would, open the voting board, please. All in favor, vote yes. Any opposed, no. Anyone wishing to change their vote? Mr. Clerk, if you would, take the vote.
Mr. Chairman, you have 8 ayes, 0 noes.
This bill will move out to full committee. And I believe you have item number 5, House Bill 779. We have a motion and we do have a second, and no amendments. All right.
No, Mr. Chairman.
All right, Representative Mayberry, you're recognized on your bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This bill is a simple technical correction of an incorrect reference in the code. The Charitable Solution Act contains exemptions from registration requirements for education institutions. Currently, the education institutions is defined in the law as organizations approved to operated by the local Board of Education, the Achievement School District, or the State Board of Education. When the General Assembly created the Charter School Commission in 2019 to take over the charter school appeals and authorization from the State Board of Education, this code reference was apparently missed, and the Secretary of State's office notified the commission last fall of this error, and this commission has proposed this bill to correct that reference.
Right, members, heard the explanation. Is there any questions? Seeing none, Mr. Clerk, if you would, open the voting board. All in favor, vote yes. Any opposed, no. Anyone wish to change their votes? Mr. Clerk, take the vote.
Mr. Chairman, you have 8 ayes, 0 noes.
All right. Also, you're moving out to full committee with HB 779. And you're up on item number 6, House Bill 923. Do we have a motion? We have a motion and a second. And I believe you have an untimely filed amendment. Is that correct?
Yes, I followed a timely amendment, but then Senator Johnson's office changed 2 words and that became untimely.
Members, if there's no objections, we're going to go ahead and allow the untimely amendment without objection. We'll hear the amendment.
And that's 6418.
All right, 6418. Do we have a motion on the amendment? We have a motion and a second on the amendment. So does it rewrites the bill? Is that correct?
It does.
We'll go ahead and add 6418 to House Bill 923. All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. You're on your bill as amended.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. HB 923 prohibits a department, agency, or a state or unit of state government or political subdivision of the state, such as a county, municipal, metropolitan government, or public institution of higher education, from maintaining or authorizing an office or department that promotes or requires discriminatory preferences to increase diversity, equity, or inclusion. It declares all mandates, policies, programs, activities, guidance, regulations, enforcement actions, consistent orders, or other declarations by such an office, division, or department as void. This bill is to promote merit-based systems. I renew my motion.
Members, you've heard the explanation, and first on our list, we have Representative Chisholm.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. To the sponsor, would this bill eliminate accommodations for or services for students with disabilities on college campuses?
Representative Mayberry.
This bill eliminates departments that are pushing DEI actions. This would not remove.
So that's a yes then, because diversity, equity, inclusion includes those with disabilities.
Members of the audience, I know you're here. This is a passionate issue for everyone. I'd like for you to refrain from the finger snapping. Also, make sure your sign is about head level, which that's about where you're at. And we would appreciate that very much. I know this is a passionate issue for a lot of folks. So if we would we want to hear everybody out here. So Representative Mayberry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Americans with Disabilities Act of 1990 clearly puts protections in place for those with disabilities. This bill does not overturn any federal regulations such as you're talking about.
Representative Chisholm.
Okay. So would this bill prohibit institutions of higher learning from recruiting students that live in areas with less access?
Representative Mayberry.
Could you further define what you're talking about, sir?
So like in rural Tennessee, we have so many people who don't fall within one particular subgroup in society, who are below a certain income point, would this keep them from being able to go to certain schools in our state?
Representative Mayberry.
So this legislation simply says that one of these groups, which I've already stated, governments, colleges, cannot have a department that's promoting diversity, equity, and inclusion practices with the aim at we're going towards merit-based systems. So that's what this bill does. It doesn't do what you're asking.
All right.
Okay.
Oh, done.
Chairman, thank you for your
Yes.
gravity. I got one more question.
Okay.
So some universities in our state, they have support services specifically for male or female. So would this bill take those services away?
Representative Mayberry.
This bill is not taking away services between men and women. This bill is eliminating departments that serve towards diversity, equity, inclusion. And again, we have another bill coming through, 622, that is going to be pushing our state to hiring practices of merit-based, and that's what this bill aims to do.
Okay, so
Representative Chisholm.
diversity, equity, inclusion, it includes women. So this would affect programs that affect specifically women.
Representative Mayberry.
I do know that there are two genders, men and women. And I do know those who advocate for DEI try to put a lot within the tent of DEI, with those wanting to be added to that tent or not. But I renew my motion.
Representative Chisholm. Are you good?
So I'm trying to stay within the lane here. A lot of DEI was women, so that's why I asked that specific question, because if you do away with programs that do DE and I, you're taking away a lot of those programs that are gender specific. Like, cause in certain, there's certain programs in higher education facilities that are germane to just women. So if we take away DE and I, we're taking away those programs as well. So I just wanted to see where you were in there. Did you think that was a good thing, or?
Representative Mayberry.
So again, I'm not trying to take away programs of which you're talking about. This bill specifically says a department, and this bill removed those departments. That's what this bill does.
So if you take away those departments, you take away those programs too.
Representative Mayberry.
So I can't speak to any specific program. I don't know what you're referencing in particular. I don't have the information in front of me. But the departments which I'm talking about, if they exist to promote the DEI, they will be removed.
Okay, we'll talk later. Thank you,
Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. And Representative Miller, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Representative Mayberry, Reverend Mayberry, I just received this text and read it to you. Can you tell me what's going on at the state concerning dismantling of DEI programs? So I responded back, we're about to find out. Very timely. Your particular bill, as I read it, it will dismantle DEI departments, which will include county governments, municipal governments, metropolitan governments. So all of those county governments, municipal governments, and metro governments that currently have those departments in place today, are you suggesting this bill simply says that all of those departments will be dismantled? All of those employees that currently have a job, that are working, will be terminated, dismantled?
Representative Mayberry.
Thank you, Representative Miller, for your question. This bill would say in counties, cities, that if you have a department that's promoted DEI and that is your sole job, that department will no longer exist if this is passed by this legislative body. I am not advocating for anyone to get fired. I know that in many cases, it's happening right now across our state and across the nation, that people that had maybe a particular job that is focused on promoting DEI, Their job skill set also promotes over to human resources, and they find a different place within the government entity for them to work, in a different role for them. But so I'm not advocating for anyone in particular to no longer be employed, but I'm saying that the department which they have, if it is purposes to promote DEI, would no longer exist.
Representative Miller.
You're not advocating, but your bill is simply saying, to answer my question, these individuals could very well lose their job because the departments will be dismantled.
Representative Mayberry.
This bill does not say that anybody's going to get fired. This bill just says simply the department will not exist. That'll have to be handled at the city county levels. I know within Montgomery County there is a position that has been a DEI position. That's actually how this got on my radar. And from my understanding is that position is being changed into a different position. And many counties and cities, I'm sure, will do the same.
Representative Miller.
Representative Mayberry, this whole idea, and you interjected the idea that it's going on nationally. And you're right. It's much more of a distraction than anything else. DEI. It's a distraction from doing things that are much more important to be doing. I'm a product of DEI. I'm a product of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And chances are I wouldn't be sitting here today if I were not. And what your bill is actually saying, we want to dismantle and do away with that history. My history, my personal history. I kind of find somewhat of a offense to that. DEI helped build this country, Representative Mayberry. It helped build this country. And we don't have time to go through a historical perspective of the beginning of DEI. But at some point in time, this bill is going to pass this committee. It's going to come to full committee, and we can continue this conversation. But actually, Jesus Christ experienced DEI. A number of reasons why he was crucified, but DEI was one of those reasons. Representative Mayberry. So as we continue this conversation, I would suggest to you that you continue to study the historic perspective of what built this country. Women's suffrage was DEI. That was DEI. When we think of, I have a story. Mr. Chairman, may I mention this? When I got here over 25 years ago, we had a chairman of Finance, Ways and Means Committee, and he was a Democrat. And I went before that committee with 3 bills. And what happened, he defeated and killed all 3 of those bills. I was devastated at this point, especially since this guy was a Democrat, right? So after that, later on, we left. I drove my car in the garage, I'm leaving, and I saw him standing by his truck, smoking a cigar, him and 3 other guys, 3 other white guys, right? I get out because, again, I'm upset. I felt rejected. I felt hurt. I approached him and I said, well, why did that happen? He told me, don't take it personal. That was his explanation to me. Don't take it personal. But for the next 30 minutes, I sat there. He offered me a cigar, which was not a good thing to do. And we smoked this cigar. You know what that represented? Diversity, because at that point, I'm standing there with them, an African-American male with the white guys. Inclusion. When he offered me that cigar, and we talked about it, from that day forward, whenever I took a bill to his committee, it passed. It passed because of what? We had an opportunity, diversity, equity in that meeting, and inclusion. I was included. There's a lot more history to DEI. This bill pretty much want to dismantle that history. it's not a good thing. And at some point in time, you're going to get this bill probably all the way to the floor. And when you get it to the floor, Chairman Vaughn is going to joke, is this your first bill? And it's not a joke. Chances are he probably will stay away from this once it gets to the floor, because in this environment, chances are it's going to really get to the floor. But between now and then, I hope that you will consider laying it on the table once it's on the floor so that we can continue this conversation about the positive aspect of DEI in this country and in this state. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
And thank you.
Okay. Members of the audience, please. All right. Chairman Powers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to say a couple of things real quick too, going back and I'll talk a little bit about what Representative Miller was talking about. I remember growing up in a small rural town, and we didn't have a whole lot of black members in that town. But some of them played on my baseball team, and they were my teammates. And we became good friends. One of them was the pitcher, and I was the hind catcher. And this was back even before the Civil Rights Act of '64. But he made the team, and he was the pitcher of our team, not because of DEI, because of merit, because he was the best pitcher. He was left-handed, matter of fact. He was the best pitcher in our league. And hopefully I was the best catcher, but nobody ever told me that. But he made it because of merit. And that's what we think. Race, color, creed, anything like that should not be a factor. It should be based on merit. And that's what we tried to do. And that's what our whole country was built on, was people that wanted to be better and worked hard at it. And no matter what color or creed or anything, or what type of gender or anything. And going back to, speaking of gender, Title IX covers any kind of, I was looking it up, it's a federal law that requires any kind of discrimination against any kind of activity that receives federal assistance or anything, regardless of sex or anything like that, in any kind of educational setting. So I don't think anything would be affected in that. But I just want to thank you for bringing this forward, because it is a good bill. We need to base it on merit. We need to disregard all of the other things and not promote people or not advance people based on anything else other than they're willing to work hard and on their merit. So thank you for bringing this forward.
Representative Mayberry.
Thank you, Representative Powers. I appreciate that. For what it's being described today, so far, that is not my definition of DEI. My life's been by diversity. I've been in diverse groups my entire life. The college I went to was incredibly diverse. The community I live in and am a pastor in is incredibly diverse. The church I pastor is the most diverse church by race and other backgrounds than any other church in my community. And I would dare say it's one of the most diverse churches in the state. We do not do things based on discriminating people and choosing winners and losers. We don't do that. We decide to do things based on merit. And what that happens is you'll create an atmosphere that is naturally diverse. Identity-based politics are aimed at segregating and separating people into groups. That is ideological by nature and is wrong. And this bill will lead Tennessee in stopping these discriminatory practices. I renew my motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Representative Powell actually called my name and he talked about merits. This bill doesn't have anything to do with merits. You're talking about just dismantling programs that are currently existing. DEI, you're just talking about dismantling that, not just state departments, but you're reaching down now to local governments, once again, to dictate how you run your programs, how you operate your programs. If you did anything, limit it to state government, see how that works for us in a month or 2 months or a year. This is simple. This is not about merits. I mean, basically, Representative Powell, I agree with it. You know, it should be about merit, but this is not what we're talking about. You're just talking about dismantling programs that have been working, that are successful. You're talking about just dismantling those programs. That's what this is about. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Representative Mayberry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, thank you, Representative Miller, for your comments. Originally, I had a bill, my intention was to have one bill that would do everything, but for constitutional reasons, we had to put it into two different bills. But you will also see in the full committee House Bill 622, which is a bill to eliminate DEI practices from hiring practices within the state, county, city, and all these different entities, which we talked about today. This is just, I could say, in a companion bill to eliminate the departments, because if we're not going to have hiring practices, then we should not have a department that's going to administer those things. You mentioned the local level. I have seen at the local level within our state, counties, cities, and school boards where there are DEI practices. This bill will remove some of those. But they have reached out to me wanting these things removed, and that's why they're written here in the bill. I renew my motion.
Sure. Chairman Powers.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move previous question.
Previous question has been called. With that, is there any objections? Seeing none. Members were on the board voting. If the clerk would open the voting board. All in favor vote yes. All opposed no. Anyone wishing to change their vote? Mr. Clerk, if you would, please take the vote.
Mr. Chairman, you have 6 ayes, 2 noes.
You're moving out to full committee.
Thank you, Chairman Committee.
Completes our business. Black people build our country and as well. It is of respect.
All right, members, this brings us to the end of our calendar, and this is our final calendar. Is there anyone personal orders or anything? All right, Representative Chisholm.
Chairman, first, I just want to say thank you for your leadership on this committee. This is your first time chairing this committee, and I want to thank you for the gravity that you give on this committee. It's well appreciated.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else? Representative Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to second what Representative Chisholm just said.
All right. Thank you. Members, I will say this. This is, of course, the first time I've served on the committee and first time chairing it. And I've always felt like that you're only as good as the people you surround yourself with. And I don't think I could have handpicked a committee that has been better to work with. And I mean that sincerely. And Chairman Crawford down there, I believe did you want to be recognized?
Well, first of all, I would say I concur with everything that's been said. You've done a great job, and I'm glad to have you as a subcommittee chair. But I really just wanted to make a motion that we adjourn to the call of the chair.
Do we have a motion to adjourn subject to the call of the chair? This meeting's adjourned. That should be that this committee is closed subject to the call of the chair. Thank you all.